Hey, what's up, everybody? Bill here from Hashtag Sports. So, big news. So, I had to jump on right away and do a real quick live video. So, the Bills have announced they've released Kelvin Benjamin and Andre Holmes. So, first off, I don't think that's a monstrous surprise to a lot of Bills fans. There was obviously talk of the Bills wanting to hold on to Kelvin Benjamin because there was some compensatory picks that he would have been a part of. So let me just break down what the compensatory formula means and kind of why the Bills just truthfully didn't give a shit about it at all. So the compensatory formula works like this. You could hold on to Kelvin Benjamin. He works out the rest of the season, right? And then you get a fifth, third, seventh round pick, right? So you can get compensatory picks if you lose players the following offseason. There was no way in the world the Bills were going to sign Kelvin Benjamin. The problem is that the Bills, by releasing him, have stated pretty much that either he's a problem and they just want to get rid of him, so it's a culture move, or they don't think he's going to sign a top contract in the offseason, which I have to really truthfully believe is probably the case. So he would have to sign a top contract at the position. So normally it's like top three or two or three or four contracts per position you kind of look at to set the mark. And I don't think he would be one of the top 2, 3, or 4 free agents, even in a really depleted free agent class. Is not looking great. So Kelvin Benjamin is now a free agent. He's gone. Andre Holmes, also a free agent. He's gone. Kind of saw a little bit of the writing on the wall with Andre Holmes because he was putting in a lot of times on special teams. And I mean, I understand that, you got to get a look at it, but this means a couple different things for the Bills. One, you've let Andre Holmes and Kelvin Benjamin go. Kelvin Benjamin, by the way, was making, and you guys are going to love this, $520,000 a game. That's per game. So by the Bills cutting him, they're going to cost themselves $528,000 a game on the salary cap. So I think they're happy to be rid themselves of that problem. Andre Holmes obviously isn't anywhere close to that. So long story short, the Bills have cost themselves about $2.5 million. But what's going to happen and what you're going to see is the Bills are not only looking at their young wide receiver depth, which if you look at who's been playing, Isaiah McKenzie on a one-year deal, Robert Foster on a one-year deal, Deontay Thompson on a one-year deal. So they're going to look to rebuild the youth of the position. But this also means by dropping those two players and not signing any free agent wide receivers. They haven't signed any yet. They brought up a cornerback and I think a defensive end to replace them from the practice squad. So that means that the roster is carrying 2 less wide receivers, which means on game days, you're going to see more tight ends active. So again, the Bills are looking at that tight end class moving into next season. These are moves that you want to see a rebuilding team make. They're not afraid to try and just see what their depth is that they have at this point. They knew they were carrying dead weight with both Holmes and Kelvin Benjamin. They're just moving on, whether that's financial, whether that's cultural, doesn't matter. But now that there's 2 less wide receivers on the roster, be prepared that you're going to see more tight end formations because the Bills, I think, only had 2 tight ends active last game. Or did they have 3? They had 3 tight ends active last game. Look to see if they're going to keep more, if they're going to make 4 tight ends active. They're going to start looking at their depth by not replacing Kelvin Benjamin, Andre Holmes with wide receivers. They're going to be rolling with 4 to 5 wide receivers active most games, and that's also going to free up another tight end spot along the way. So this is going to cost the Bills, again, about $3 million in salary cap. I don't think they care at all about that. Again, this kind of speaks to a couple questions. Is it culture? Is it trying to build up your depth for next season, which I have to imagine it is. You look what the Bills have done the last 4 weeks in rebuilding their wide receiver group, and they clearly feel comfortable moving forward with the young receivers that they have because they've gotten production out of them. So this again is going to speak to, now that this dead weight, as the team probably looks at it, is gone, you're slowly pulling back the reasons that you can keep Brian Daboll around. So those who have been, not unsupportive of Brian Daboll, I'm a big proponent of that group. I'm not thrilled with him as an OC, but you take a look, and as the offensive line has cycled, as these things have all changed, well, now that you're running out of the depth that was already on the team, now that inherited talent that was already on the roster when he got the job, now that that's being stripped away and you're giving him new talent to work with fresh system, if it's successful, then Daboll's going to stay. So keep a look at the offense, right? If the team can put up 25, 30 points going forward, then Dable's going to stick around because there'd be no reason to remove him. The players that are new are picking up the system. But if you see a new influx of players and you start seeing, 7 points, 12 points, 14 points put up, then Dable might not be the guy moving forward. So great to see that the roster is shuffling. Great to see that the roster is cycling. I'm glad to see from a culture perspective that the team's not afraid to say, listen, this is the direction we're moving and this is just what we're going to do. And again, from a compensatory formula standpoint, it doesn't make sense to keep Kelvin Benjamin around because he'd have to sign a monster deal in order to be even eligible for compensatory pick, which I can't imagine that any team would want to invest a lot of money in the Kelvin Benjamin that we've been seeing for the last X amount of weeks. So again, I just want to jump on real fast and just kind of comment to any of those. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. Mike McCarthy is OC, Dennis Chapman asks. McCarthy's making good money right now. He's still technically a head coaching candidate, so there's no real reason for him to jump on as OC of the Buffalo Bills, right? He's getting paid for the rest of the season, so he doesn't really care. That doesn't matter to him. He could sit at home and make just as much money as coaching, and he'd still be one of the top head coaching candidates in the offseason anyway. So I don't think you're going to see. I just don't think you're going to see anything like that. McCarthy has no reason to jump to anything. So yeah, Kelvin Benjamin is gone. And again, the Bills are spending not only money this year, but salary cap that you don't spend this year rolls over to next year. So that dead money is going to impact them next season, but it doesn't seem like the Bills are really all that concerned, nor should they be. They've got a ton of money left. Left over. And I'm glad to see them invest in the youth on the team because that's a major step towards making Allen successful and hopefully making Brian Dable successful if you're going to keep him. If he's your guy, I think this is, again, another stance saying, okay, we're believing you. This is a problem. You don't feel these two positions are performing. These two players specifically are performing. Let's get them out of there. They've done it with the offensive line. Now we're starting to see it with the wide receiver group as far as getting that dead weight out of there, and it's really a positive sign. So, all right, everybody, you have yourself a great day, and all right, we'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.